Pride is not about the words that you're able to shout out in the street. It's not about the labels you assume. Pride is about a relationship with yourself. Hello, it's me, Cheddar Gorgeous, and this is my Pride empowered by Bentley with Attitude magazine. My first Pride was in Birmingham in the early noughties. And what I remember so distinctly was being able to wear what I would wear in a nightclub, because I used to go out and wear all kinds of weird, crazy things. I felt like I was simultaneously doing something so incredibly naughty, but at the same time that felt so incredibly right. It's interesting being at Bentley because my coming out story did involve a car. I remember that my parents came into the city centre looking for me and found me asleep in said car. So I'd gone on a night out to a gay club and not told my parents where I was going. They took me home and they sat me down and they said, "We don't care whether you're gay, but you ain't coming home at 4 a.m. in the morning again." I feel like one of the biggest changes in the community is kind of growth in new language and ways of expressing ourselves and words to describe ourselves. But at the same time, I think it also means that we can become very hung up on language, and that can sometimes be a barrier. Pride at its real essence is about a group of people who can be quite different from one another and may think about their sense of identity in incredibly different ways. But we come together with a shared objective, and that shared objective is making sure that we have a place to thrive in this world. Pride celebrations are a little bit like that. We take this one day where we're absolutely entitled to be however we want to be and feel confident in how we are. And we surround ourselves in a safe place and with people who we know are allies. And that's why events like that are still important for people who might feel quite isolated in their everyday lives. I would love to live in a world where we didn't need Pride, where we didn't need Pride Month. I would love to live in a world where actually everything was incidentally accepted. More than ever, we've seen why Pride is important. You know, you see now people openly being homophobic, people openly being transphobic. But it's a warning and a reminder of something that I've always said. The freedoms that we have, they were hard earned, they were hard fought, and anything that is won, any change that happens can equally be taken away. There will always be a struggle, there will always be a fight, and there will always be a need to establish our place and find the safety that we need to find in order to have successful and wonderful, happy lives. Do you know where I feel most connected to my communities? On the dance floor. I'm a sober person, so for me it's really about the dancing. In many ways, dancing in a nightclub is an expression of real foundational human traditions, and I absolutely love that. And if there's one thing that, queer people do well, it's dancing in a nightclub. I think it's really hard to reflect upon the things that we all do in our everyday lives to push Pride forward. I think it's easy to lose sight of how living your everyday life, being open, being willing to talk about things, being willing to be honest about the love that you have in your life or the things that you do at a weekend or your life outside of the work environment or the professional environment. I think we lose track of how powerful that really, really is. And so for me, I probably don't feel like I'm doing much in my everyday life to push the Pride agenda forward. But I acknowledge that sometimes just being in this world is its own form of progress. And maybe I should pat myself on the back a little bit more for that, but I'm just having a good time. For the people out there who are unable to celebrate Pride publicly, Pride is not about the words that you're able to shout out in the street. It's not about the labels you assume. It's not really about what anybody thinks about you. Pride is about a relationship with yourself and how you feel about yourself. And in knowing that you haven't done anything wrong and there's nothing wrong with you. You're right. You're absolutely right the way you are. In my dream scenario, in the next 50 years, we would live in a world where our gender and our sexuality became something that was incidental about us. Within our communities, we would find a way of being able to embrace one another's differences, find them interesting even, thrive in enjoying hearing about people whose lives are different to your own. In order to get to that point, we have to help one another up. So I think what we really need to see right now, not in the next 50 years, is actually those of us who have a little bit of prominence, a little bit of voice, a little bit of, dare we say, privilege, that we're able to help and lift other people up. So I long to see that in our community. Well, if we see it, that's up to you, isn't it?